Hello, welcome back to Single Mom on a Farm. This is question and answer video number 13. It is really hot up here, so I hope I don't melt, and I have a window unit running, so I hope it's not too noisy, and we have extra family in town right now, so I hope there aren't too many distractions or anything like that. But I was excited to do this video because we have lots of great questions to talk about today. And let's get started. The first ones are about Thomas's mission. Since Thomas got his mission call that starts in August, is that something his college will understand, and can they still give him a scholarship to continue when he gets back? So yes, he filled out a mission deferment, and that means he can go on a mission for 2 years and his scholarships will still remain when he gets back, and he actually gets an extra $1,000 scholarship if he does serve a mission. This school really recognizes the value of community service, of going out and that global experience that you're going to get, of serving other people, and putting aside all your other cares. You know, like I said before, that you can't go to the movies or even watch TV at home. You can't do like social media and video games or date or any of those kinds of things that other college kids are doing. So you really just focus on Christ and gain a really strong relationship with him and feel him helping you in your life, and it just really benefits the rest of your life. So that's great that they will give him an extra scholarship when he gets back, and they totally understand. And I love the timing of it. I was so happy that he was leaving at the end of August because I was afraid that he would go in September or October. And then when he came back in 2 years in September, October, it'd be too late to start that semester and he'd miss another semester. So I am thrilled that he should be able to come back in August of 2027, and that way he can start right away and not miss another semester of school. So the timing is perfect. How much do mission calls cost the family? They are $400 per month, and most missionaries try to work all through their high school years and save that money. So Thomas has some savings, but he also had to pay for a big chunk of college, so he doesn't have a lot left. But he's still working the rest of the summer, so we'll see how much he has. And I expect that, like, my parents or my mom and Nathan's parents will probably pitch in $100 a month, and that he has some other mentors and friends in our congregation at church that will want to contribute a little bit, whichever months that he needs it. And they just kind of have it averaged out. So I'm sure that there are missions that are a lot cheaper than that, like maybe even $100 or $200 a month, if you're just living in a hut or something. And I'm sure there are some that are $1,000 or $2,000 a month if you live in a really fancy city. But the church is great to just average it out and subsidize where they need to help these young men and young women be able to serve a mission and get this valuable experience. They make it pretty cheap. It's cheaper than, college dorms, room and board and things like that. Can you explain more about missions? Where will Thomas live? Who will he live with? I know that you have family in Utah. Will he be able to visit them, or will your family be able to visit with him for the holidays? Does Thomas know Spanish, or will he be learning Spanish while on his mission? Thank you. So I'll start with the end one. Thomas does know some Spanish. He's been teaching himself for many years, and I think he has a great gift for languages. So I think he's going to do great with Spanish. And then, yes, he will learn Spanish on his mission. So first, he is going to go straight to Mexico City, where they have a training center there, and they will teach him Spanish and really immerse him in the culture and the language. And then he'll fly to Colorado Springs. When he gets to Colorado Springs, he has a mission president with a wife that are an older senior couple, a retired couple usually, like in the 50s or 60s, and they assign all the missionaries to usually like 2 or 4 in an apartment of the same gender, of course, and then usually his companion that he'll get, they call him a companion, will be older in terms of already been on a mission. So maybe he's already been there for 6 months or a whole year, and he will show him the ropes, show him who they're teaching, who they are serving, the different community service projects that they're into, all the streets and the roads, and all the things like that. So he'll have someone to help him along, and then they'll work together. So it's a great experience to learn to work with somebody that you've never met before, that you don't necessarily maybe like or want to be with, and they really learn to get along super well. And it's a great preparation for marriage also for later. So that's where he'll live, and they'll be moving around Colorado Springs. So that's his mission, but it's actually a big chunk of southern Colorado. So it's not going to just be in the city. He'll have a lot of rural spots. So that'll be exciting to see where he gets moved around. And they can usually move around like every 4 to 6 months so that you get a new experience in a different location. He will not be able to visit any of his siblings in Utah at all, and we will not visit with him for the holidays. He won't come home for the holidays. He'll be gone for the 2 full years, and he'll just be able to call us once a week or write us. And I think that's great. There's really supposed to be like forgetting all the cares of the world and forgetting their old life and just focusing on their Savior, Jesus Christ, what he wants them to be doing right at that time. They really gain a strong relationship with him. It's kind of like a pilgrimage or something like that other religions do. And I think that's all about that, about his mission. Hopefully I answered all those questions. I'm wondering why you don't grow tons of tomatoes and other vegetables to sell, can, and freeze. So much room and very low cost, especially if you seed save. Growing meat birds and having a neighbor process for barter or charge per bird would be so helpful with groceries too. They grow out quickly and are quite easy in a movable tractor on grass. Just thoughts. So yes, here's a garden question. And at first I thought, gosh, you must think I'm a superwoman to grow any more food than we're already growing, because we have so much already and I am like maxed out about how much work I can do. So to show you, I want to take you on a little field trip to our garden. So when we moved in, there were the 9 raised garden beds, which was amazing. We moved in June, and so we only planted a few of them because it was kind of late. And then, a couple years ago, we added a 10th box because there wasn't room for everything. And then this year, we added this. We just rototilled this spot, but of course it's taken over with weeds now. And then every year we've also tried to do, like, we call this our pumpkin patch. Some years it's done great, other years it hasn't. But obviously the soil gets from good to bad. So the first row always does pretty good. Then smaller, smaller, and tiniest. You can see the little yellow flowers on it, but it's not doing very good. So obviously the soil's not so good down here. Tried growing corn down there. Got some butterfly bushes to try to help keep deer away. So yes, we could try to make it bigger, but for one thing, it doesn't even do that good. We've got to fix up the soil, but that would be costly and time consuming. Mostly it's just hard enough. It seems like every day when I was doing a video, I was saying that we're planting. So it felt like every day we're tilling more and planting more and picking up rocks and weeding and hauling dirt and trying to fertilize and everything. It just seemed like it took us weeks and weeks to plant. So I felt like I couldn't ask them to make any more garden space or plant anymore. And now that everything's growing great, we spend hours either watering if we have a dry spell, which it takes about 45 minutes to water all this, or getting squash bugs like Kate and Kenna are doing, going around the duct tape, getting the eggs and squash bugs off of them. Last year, everything got eaten up by the squash bugs by August. We had just given up. It was just awful. So we got very little pumpkins and some squash, some gourds by the end. What else? We'll get some hornworms. We get June bugs all over things like the blackberries and the kiwi and the grapes. You have to go around every morning flicking the bugs into soapy water. So that usually takes about an hour. Watering and getting squash bugs takes an hour. Picking all the produce. And then all of July, like for 6 weeks, is blueberry season, and we have to pick blueberries for about an hour every morning, hour every night. And blueberries are a wonderful crop, so we're excited about that. So it's kind of best to take a lot of attention to that. It does not have any bugs or problems. So that is our best crop for sure. And sometimes during the blueberry season, we end up kind of neglecting some of this down here because we just can't get to it all. And then if there's anywhere we want to go, like camps, or last year we went to my mom's house for a week, it's just like everything would be gone by the time we got home. I'm sure like the deer would be in it, the Japanese beetles would have eaten all the kiwi. So we left Thomas home to take care of things. He had to pick blueberries. He spent like every day 2 or 3 hours in the morning and night getting the squash bugs off of the plants and picking blueberries and getting June bugs off of the grapes so that we had a really good grape season at least. So here are a few more of my thoughts. So I would love more garden space. I really would. I feel like this is the most I can do and require the kids to do also. And besides just our garden space, we've got the kiwis, we've got over 100 blueberries, we've got figs, we have several apple trees, some peach trees, the cherry tree, the grapes, raspberries. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything, but we have a ton. And yes, my dream would be to just homestead. I would love it. And part of me really resents the fact that I have to work. You know, I go back to the year that Nathan stopped paying child support, and I think up until that point, I was just on fire. I see the progress that we made on our house, like all of the remodeling, not remodeling, but updating that we were doing, all the progress. I just felt like we're going so fast and getting this house and this farm where we wanted it. And they've got the chickens and we've got the cow, and just rearranged everything so that we were all comfortable here. And I was just on fire. So I felt like if I could keep that momentum, then like by now we would have had like a great fireplace inside our house so they can like heat the whole house more efficiently than the one in the sunroom. We would maybe like remodel the kitchen by now, and just all kinds of things. We would have our meat birds. We would have pigs, because I really want pigs for pastured pork. I really do not like store-bought pork. Just so many things. And so it just sort of makes me cry, makes me want to, be resentful that I have to work, that I feel like my life is just slowed way down, that like the progress on things is just not where I want it to be. And I kind of wish that like the blog had been faster, or the YouTube channel. I had never planned to start it in the first place, but I wish I had started it earlier. The blog was just a mess, just trying to get started. I had so many problems, like our internet would go out for days at a time, and trying to publish the curriculum, I'd have problems. I mean, it was just like, am I not supposed to be working? Or what's going on? But that's a different subject. So yes, I would love to not have to work and just full-time do our homestead and live off of it, try to do rain barrels for our water, and just so many fun projects that would be like playtime for me. But that's not the case. So with having to work, that is the max I can do. And in my mind, I think, okay, I can work outside for 6 hours a day and then do my business for 6 hours a day. Like that works out perfect. But in real life, that is not what happens. We get all these problems, and kids need to go places and do things, and just life happens. I've got college kids to talk to and help. So that's just not what happens. So somehow it's only 2 or 3 hours a day, maybe, that we're working outside, and feel like we're always behind. One more thought was that this year when I was tilling extra rows and planting all these extra seeds and just thinking, we are going to go all in about this garden this year. It's going to be our best garden ever. I'm going to spend hours every single day. Then I thought, I hope the government is okay with it, because here they are giving us food stamp money so that I can not worry about food and, get a job or work to provide for our mortgage and our other bills. And here I was spending so much time, hours a day in the garden. And I thought, what if we just get one hailstorm that ruins everything? Or, big devastation of pests that ruin everything, or, a heat wave or whatever it is, because some years are like that. Last year, the tomatoes, something was happening with the tomatoes and all the pumpkins and gourds, because it wasn't just me. I have friends who have lived here their whole lives and are great gardeners that said they got one tomato, and several other friends just said they hardly got anything last year. And so I felt better that it wasn't just me, but it was just like we got no rain for a long, long time, and then way too much rain that it just kind of ruined a lot of stuff. So I feel like, what if we spend all this time this year and then everything is just ruined? It's hard to balance. Like, should I do more garden, or should I actually just try to work and provide for the basic living of my family? And then after I'm really good at that and we're earning more than $20,000 a year, then focus more time on our garden. But I don't know, because I also think that store-bought food is not good for us. And so I don't want to have health problems later. And that will cost the government more money if we're still on Medicaid or whatever. So I do really want our own, our own food. I want to grow all of our own food. And then I also really want the cow. I really miss the cow. That milk, I feel like it really, really gave us the health benefits that we need. And so I'm worried that without drinking the raw milk, that our health is not going to be as good. And so I miss that. We really need good health too. So it's a hard balance. But yes, we do. And somebody else asked about our garden. Why don't I sell? I have not enough to sell. Besides our blueberries, then we sell our blueberries. But the rest of the stuff, I just want our own for us, because we eat a lot of food. And I use it in like every meal. I am just using our own tomatoes and stuff that we've saved from other years. So I do try to get at least like 3 to 6 months supply of all of our fruits and vegetables. So like tomatoes didn't do well last year, but cucumbers, we lasted the whole year, and we still have a whole basket full of cucumbers in the freezer. So yeah, some crops do great, but I do try to have a full year supply of blueberries. We had a full year supply of cucumbers and some other things like bell peppers, I think. And then the year before, we had a full year supply of zucchini and squash. Pumpkin, we always have a full year supply of pumpkin. And what else? Grapes aren't, we just eat them all or make juice with them or whatever. And so it just depends on the crop. And the cherries, we just eat them all. We don't freeze or preserve them or anything. And blackberries we can eat and freeze and make jams and stuff. So yeah, we're doing our best. Some crops is 3 months and some crops is 12 months, and we're just progressing, and I hope every year gets better. I really do. Next question. These ones look like they are about Nathan, so we'll see. Did you suspect that you were compensating for some deficits Nathan had, like packing his school bag lunches, or did you think you were being a supportive partner? I'm wondering if his family was able or willing to take him in during his homeless era, but I also understand some people refused the help. So lots of different questions in this one. Let's see. Yes, I did compensate for some deficits he had. So like he had a lack of executive functioning skills. He would lose things a lot. So I did help him find pencils and just try to keep his shoes by the door and his wallet and his glasses and everything he would need. I loved making his lunches for him because I knew that he would not make good, healthy choices, and that that was my skill set. His mom told me if I could just keep him supplied with like pencils and paper and all those things, then he would go on to earn a great living for our family. That he had the smarts where I had the organizational skills. And so I felt like we were a perfect team in that way. I was really glad not to go to medical school. I know I couldn't get in. I did not know how to do like all those chemistry and math classes. I didn't have the endurance to do school for that long. It's just not my skill set. So I was so proud of him, and I'd be willing to do anything if he's willing to support him. If he's willing to go to be medical school, then I tried not to ask for anything around the house. Like I would do all the yard work, the housework, taking care of the babies, as long as he went out and earned us a good living and treated patients and really helped other people, because he had some fantastic cure ideas. And I just knew he could cure people and really help so many people. So I was really proud of him. And I was proud to be a medical student wife. It was really fun for me. So yeah, I did overcompensate for him for some of his deficits. And then I also thought I was being a supportive partner. I watched my mom get up early with my dad and get him off to work. He worked an hour away, and she always made his lunch and dinners for him if he's going to be home late, and hugged and kissed him and just was so supportive. And then she was there when he got home at night, and if we'd already eaten, she warmed him a plate of food and sat and talked and listened to his whole day. So I wanted to be like that. They had a wonderful marriage, and I expected mine to be the same, just both of us doing our traditional responsibilities and being very supportive to one another. I'm wondering if his family was able to help or willing to take him in during his homeless era. So yes. So at first, when he moved out, he moved 3 houses down for several months, and then that guy kicked him out, and so he went to live with his sister's basement. I think he might have lived there for about 2 years. I'm not sure, because that's when we moved out here. And I know she was trying to kick him out for a while, probably for a whole year. So I don't know what he was doing. I haven't really asked her about it. But obviously she saw the same things that I was seeing, or did not feel comfortable around him. So I know at some point he moved out and was living in his office during the day and seeing patients, and then he lived in his car at night. And so, you can't only keep that up for so long. Eventually, I'm sure he lost his office for not paying, and then he lost his car. I guess he didn't renew the registration, he just could not sign anything. I usually had to do those kinds of things, signing papers, and I did all the car maintenance and took them to places, because he just couldn't make decisions very well like that. So after that, he truly was homeless. I think maybe other family members would have loved to take him in, but they all had stipulations, and I'm just sort of guessing here because I haven't really asked all the details. But I think that they wanted him to have a cell phone, they wanted him to have a job, and they wanted him to see counseling, be getting counseling before they took him in. And I think someone also did try to take him in, like an aunt, and he just was like, no, I got to figure this out by myself. When he was starting to get really low, he was just like, I got to figure out myself and my life. I know he wouldn't sign the papers to go to a homeless shelter. I guess they have a little bit of a contract there. So he was truly on the streets, and I don't know how that hurt his family. I'm sure it did. I'm sure they all wanted to reach out to help, and maybe they did. I don't really know. I mean, at the time he didn't have a phone or an address or a way to contact him. He wasn't doing emails or anything. But I know they are so supportive and loving, and that he would have been great in their care if he would have just been getting counseling and listening to them as they help him. We all would have helped him. I would have helped him too if he had been doing some professional counseling and listening to our advice. I really wanted him to go live with his parents in Florida because he was raised in Florida. He loves Florida. He did not like Utah at all. I know his parents would have just been great. They bring out the best in him. They're so supportive. I don't know why, but he would not go live with them in Florida. So I guess he just really wanted to figure out his life by himself. And I hope he can. I hope things get better for him and that he does figure out how to make a good life for himself. The next question is, how did you survive during years of unemployment? So yeah, we had great savings for the 3 years that he worked. He was making $97,500, and I was still living pretty frugally as we had in medical school. And then I just was saving all that extra money because I had found that house in a little town called Fountain, and I really wanted it. It had the 20 acres, so I was saving all the money I could for that down payment. So right when he quit his job, I was really glad that we had the savings. I was like, okay, we're gonna be okay. We've got great savings. We had about $40,000, and I was like, you can just start looking for a new job and everything will be okay. And then as the months turned into a whole year and we started using up our savings, I was like, this is not good. And I wished that I did not have that savings because he was just using it to live off of it and not in a hurry. He was kind of a procrastinator with things like that. So he's like, I know we're okay. He wasn't pressured to get a job. And then the second year, it was just about gone. And so he did tutor at a community college for like $12 an hour. I think he was a substitute janitor at a school, bringing in at least a few $100s a month. And so that was really helpful. But when our money totally ran out was when he was like, I've got to take this job in Utah because we need the money now. And so at that point, we're really desperate. I had no idea it'd be 2.5 years, almost 3 years before he got a new job. Like, I had no idea. So at that time I was like, that was the stupidest thing ever to have that money, but I didn't know it. Was your ex undiagnosed before marriage? I'm curious what his family background and upbringing was, especially concerning religion and his scrupulosity. Were you able to determine from his parents and siblings if they noticed certain types of behaviors? How do they account for him? I feel like there's an older generation of men who went undiagnosed through no fault of their own. I encountered someone in my early 20s that may have had a form of autism, but being young and inexperienced, I thought it was the difference between male and female thinking patterns. Until you have more experiences with different people and learn more about people, it's hard to know these things in such an insular setting as family life. Great. Lots of good questions. So he had a great family upbringing. Like, I just love his family, and it's very similar to mine. We both valued like meals from scratch, a lot of family time, just jumping on the trampoline together as a family, picnics, park days, game nights, puzzles when the power's out, just strong family times. So I loved that. I really did love that about his family. Upbringing about religion and scrupulosity. I think they're all just pretty normal. And so I don't think they really noticed anything. I haven't really asked them. We haven't just like sat down and talked about him with him and his siblings. So maybe sometime if they all get together, I can do that. But I assume with his religiosity or scrupulosity that it just looked like he was being a goody-goody. I mean, I feel like people like that you kind of want to emulate. I mean, somebody who did a really good job reading their scriptures every single day and keeping all of the commandments or keeping the Sabbath day holy, things like that, you just feel like this is an awesome person, a person who didn't want to speed, a person who actually came to a complete stop. You're just like, what a good guy, I'm kind of getting kind of lazy. I should be more like him. So I'm sure that it also seemed to them that he was a really amazing, rule keeper. And that's like something every teacher wants, every parent wants. Like you don't know that it's going to be taken to an extreme at all. When I had met him, it was kind of the same thing. Like, he kept the apartment curfews to the minute. He's like, 10:59, I better go. We're supposed to be home by 11. I'm like, wow, what a great guy. Other guys are just like, who cares about the rules? And so I liked that. I think that is great. I mean, later it became really annoying because he would never bend a rule at all, even if there was like an emergency or anything like that. He became very letter of the law instead of the spirit of the law. So I think he took it to an extreme later, but I don't think he was growing up. So I'm sure they didn't notice. Whatever they noticed was amazing and worthy to emulate. So I agree with you. I think there's an older generation of men who are undiagnosed because, it really wasn't a thing through the 80s and 90s to know about autism or to be diagnosing it at all. And I agree with you also that I kind of just seen the difference between male and female thinking patterns. Could you do a video about divorce and shame in the church? I would love to hear your thoughts on the topic and how you work through these feelings. Okay, I haven't thought about this before, so I'm not sure what to say. I don't know that my church would shame me at all. I think I would feel ashamed. I'm thinking back to our Texas years, and we had a great group of medical school students and their wives who are all members of our church, and then plenty of other friends, young couples and everything. So I think I would have been ashamed to divorce at that time, to be like, just thinking they're going to be like, what? You didn't try very hard. You didn't make it very long. You probably married the wrong person. I probably was worried about what they would think. So I probably would have been afraid to divorce then. And, of course, never ever crossed my mind. So at that time, I would have felt a little bit shameful about it. I don't know that the church would have said anything. I really don't know. Like I said, I haven't really thought about it. But I know that the timing was the perfect timing for me because I did not feel any shame. Because, like I said, my church leaders were noticing that his actions and what he was doing was harming our children, that they're more down, their self-esteem was low, they felt shamed about everything. So I feel like it was perfect timing. I had a ton of supportive friends, and a lot of my friends, when I was telling them, that I was like thinking about a divorce, they're all like, I really think you should. You've got to get out. I never wanted to say anything, but I really been really worried about you. And then they tell me stories of things that Nathan had said to them, and in ways that they felt that he was not somebody to be lived with the rest of your life and for eternity. So I am so grateful that I divorced at the exact time when I had outstanding friends loving me and supporting me. They all had agreed that Nathan needed professional help, that this was more than I could handle on my own, that he was not somebody that we should stay married to for the rest of our lives, that he was like starting to go against the church and telling the kids damaging things. So I'm just grateful for that. There was no shame from the church for me at all. They were all proud of me for being able to be courageous and to be willing to raise these children by myself. Okay, here are a couple more questions from one viewer. One, how did you both pay for both of your college and his medical educations? Second, how did you support your growing family while he went through school and later when he was unemployed for a few years? Thank you. Okay, so for my family, my parents said they would pay for our college tuition, and we had to pay for our housing and food and books and clothes and incidentals, toothpaste, anything else that we wanted, our living expenses. And so I always thought that was fair. So yes, for my first 2 years of college, they paid for my tuition and I paid for everything else. I got a job and I paid for all of that. I had over $10,000 from high school, from working in high school, that I had set aside in CDs. And so I didn't really know how to get that money. I guess I never looked into it since there wasn't like internet or anything, but I did not touch any of that. So I just worked and lived very frugally and paid for everything myself. And then our third year of college, we were married. And so my parents said, if you're married, you pay for everything yourself. So I had to pay for my own tuition and all my own expenses. And I never got any scholarships. I guess I was not that smart, or I didn't really know about how to apply for things either. And then Nathan got a full scholarship. So he had a full ride scholarship his 2 years of undergrad. They paid for all of his tuition and all of his housing and room and board. Like he lived in the dorms. And then that third year we were married, I'm sure he still had the full tuition, but I don't think they gave us like any housing allowance because we paid our own housing. So that's how he did that. For his medical education, he did an MSTP program, which is a medical scientist training program. So it combines an MD with a PhD, and it's a 7-year or 8-year program, at least. So you do 2 years of medical school, like your studies and classes, and then you do like 4 years of PhD, which could be like 3, 4, 5 years, however long it takes you to get a PhD. Nathan happened to do it in 3 years because he was really fast, and which is why I really liked him. I mean, that he did undergrad in 3 years and he's going to do his PhD in 3 years. And then you do your last 2 years of medical school, which are the clinical rotations, like in the hospital. So it was a total of 7 years for him, but it's usually like 7 to 9 years. And he gets paid for that as a stipend. So it's $17,500 per year to live off of, and they already pay for all of the medical school problems. So I thought we were rich. I'm like, we were getting $17,000 a year. This is just amazing. So I stayed home. We had our first baby in September, right when he started medical school. So I stayed home with her, and we bought our little house that was $54,000, and it was great until like the end. The last 3 or 4 years started to get hard because we had so many kids and the cost was going up, but the stipend stayed the same. And mostly we had like house repairs, like we put in a HVAC system, we re-roofed our house, and our bathroom was starting to fall apart and needed to be remodeled. But anyway, it worked out. It worked out great because we were able to sell our house, get that money back. So we were able to graduate through medical school debt-free. We didn't take out any student loans. and we were able to pay off like the central heat bill that we had put on a credit card and things like that. So that was great. And so we support our growing family. So we didn't use any government assistance. We didn't use family assistance. We just lived very frugally, made from scratch, lived cheaply, didn't go to amusement parks or movies or anything like that. Pretty much how I'm living now, because now I'm like back to living under $20,000 a year. But I am doing government assistance now. So anyway, when he was unemployed for a few years, then we used my other savings that I had saved up from when he had the good job for 3 years. Hopefully that answers all of that. On your ex-husband, why didn't his parents step in, being honest with you with their son's condition before marriage? Also taking him in after he left. I enjoy your content. Thank you. So they didn't know anything before his marriage. He was extra religious, but like that was kind of a good thing. Like he wasn't extreme at the time. He was just being very faithful, doing the things that he thought he should do. So, and I'm sure as their very first child that they were very proud of him. I mean, he was a straight A student through school. He was very well behaved, never had, behavior problems in school, never had hung out with the wrong crowd or drugs or gangs or anything. Like he just had excellent friends. He won math competitions. He won spelling bees all the time. He won a trip to DC for like a solar car competition. He got a 34 on the ACT. I think a 34 or 36. Maybe he got a 36 on the ACT. He got a 41 on the MCAT to get into medical school. I mean, and he got this full scholarship to BYU. So I'm sure they are very, very proud of him, and they have a right to be, because he was amazing. So no, they didn't know anything was off or anything. So there's nothing to be honest about. And I didn't meet them till the wedding anyway. Taking him in after he left. So I think they did try. It seems like they tried, or I told him that he should go live with his parents and start a practice there, and that they would really help him get on his feet again, because I thought they were pretty close. And then he wouldn't do that. That was when we first got divorced, and he wouldn't do that. And then I think later when they wanted to take him in, then they were just saying there's got to be some rules about it. Like I said, you've got to have a cell phone, you've got to be in counseling for sure, and be working towards a job and everything. So I don't know, that's between them. Next question. How do your children feel about you talking about the very intimate aspects of their father's mental health? Are they watchful for any possible inheritance of condition? I haven't asked them, so I do need to ask them. I'm sure that they would speak out. I know I talked to Spencer a lot about it, and he's just like, if you're helping other people, go at it. We're not trying to backbite him. We're not trying to say anything negative. I wasn't planning to talk about it at all. So I don't know how these questions keep coming up, because this was supposed to be a channel. It wasn't supposed to be a channel at all. But once I started it, I thought, hey, I can talk about outdoor time, which is just like my favorite passionate topic. Nature schools and getting kids off screens and having them play outside and the freedom, and homeschooling, homesteading. Those are my two top topics, homeschooling and homesteading. So somehow it's gotten a lot to him, and I'm only trying to do it if it really helps people. So maybe I've overstepped, and I hope not. I hope it's only to help other people. Are they watchful for any inheritance and condition? I don't know. I haven't really asked them that. But like I said, I think he's gone so extreme. I don't think anybody's is going to get that extreme. I think it's pretty rare. And I think they are aware of it now, that they would catch themselves before getting so extreme. But I'm sure we all, I'm sure they've inherited some of his quirky qualities or things like that. Just like, I have some negative stuff from my parents, I'm sure, tendencies or genetic things like that. So I think they are at peace with everything. And I think they are wanting to make the best life for themselves too. I have a question out of curiosity. Did your parents realize what your boyfriend was saying to you before you agreed to marry him? What was your relationship with your parents? I ask because I have children who are dating. Thanks. So great. I have a great relationship with my parents. It was fantastic. The only problem was that since I lived in Utah and they lived in California, we didn't really talk very much. Our engagement was so short, and long distance phone calls were so expensive that I didn't call very often. We had like the one phone in your apartment, and there's always somebody else on it talking to their boyfriend. So I didn't call home. I hardly called home while we're like dating or engaged or anything like that. So no, they did not know what he was saying to me. They did not know him at all. They didn't really know. And so now, yeah, looking back, I do have a great relationship with my mom and my siblings, and they're all kind of like, yeah, we wish we had said something. We kind of felt like something was off, or we didn't really like the way he treated you. But you're getting married, like you just let people choose their own spouse. And so they didn't say anything. And so I'm like, why didn't you say something? Why did you step in if you didn't? But it was so close. Like they met him right before the wedding, and And they didn't know. They didn't know if they should say anything. So I don't know. So I guess my advice to you would be, and if you have children who are dating, then to be more involved. But it's such a hard balance, because I want to be more involved with my kids, but I don't want to be, how was your date last night? What did you like about him? What did you not like about him? Ooh, I don't like that. Like, I don't want to be the pushy person so that they'll never want to call and tell me about a date. I want to give them my trust and saying, go with your gut. If you feel it's great, keep it up. If you don't like him, then cut it off. And I think they've learned from my mistakes to know how to say no to people and to cut things off. But you also don't want to just keep saying no to every single person looking for that perfect person, then you never get somebody either. So I just tell them that I trust them. But for you, I would say, to be more involved. So my kids, then I would like to be able to go out there and see them, see them at many situations, or have them. I would try to fly them home to meet their boyfriend or girlfriend or the fiance or whatever. I meet with them and be able to talk to them before they get married. So I'm hoping I can have money to do that, because I didn't with Spencer, but he brought Naomi just the one time at Thanksgiving, but we loved her. We love her so much. So we don't have any problem with her. So hopefully that helps you. And hopefully maybe your kids stay in town. And that's kind of a regret that I have about living so far away, that I really wish I still lived in Utah, because then the kids could bring home every weekend the people that they're dating, and I could really get to know them and see if there are any red flags or anything. But we love living here too. So it is what it is. But no, my parents didn't really know anything about him. And so we got married, and it was very fast. Marcy, may I ask why you didn't file a protective order before filing for divorce? Did you feel it was unnecessary? I guess I didn't know anything about a protective order. I mean, I really didn't know how to divorce either. I just filled out the papers, and I don't remember them saying anything on that. But no, at that time, I wouldn't have thought of that. He wasn't scary as in harming the children on purpose or anything like that. So I wasn't worried about that. I thought that was for people like who carried guns around or something like that or beat their kids. But no, I didn't feel that was necessary. It never entered my mind, I guess, is the short answer for that. And I wouldn't have wanted to take away any more rights than he already had. Like, I wanted to do this as gently and nicely as possible. I'm just saying, I'm going to have full custody, and we'll work out. Anytime you want to visit them, I'll make it work out. I really felt like we could work things out between us. We didn't really need the courts involved. We didn't need anybody else involved, because times change, Like, he could get much better, and we could welcome him back into our home a lot more often or whatever. So no, I didn't do that. Does Nathan watch these? And I guess I didn't get the rest of this question. I think it was saying something like he's missing out on his kids' childhood. So yes, I'm sure he's missing out a lot, but no, he does not watch my channel or vlogs. He doesn't have internet or TV. He doesn't watch anything. And then somebody wants a video about how to teach kids to read. So I'm really excited to do that, because that's what my passion is. It's about homeschooling and raising children, sleeping through the night, those kinds of things. So I hope that I answered all your questions, that I didn't rush them too fast or take too long on any one of them. Thank you so much for always sending questions. Thanks for watching all these question and answer videos and being interested. I really hope I'm helping you and that your life can be brighter somehow. I know you're making the best decisions you can for your family. Just keep on going with your gut and the spirit that you have given from God to make those good decisions for your family. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.